No one can feel naturally homosexual. I know a lot of people that feel naturally homosexual. They come up and tap you on the shoulder at the bar. They ask you if you're feeling naturally homosexual. Anyways, welcome back to another video, ladies and gentlemen. I had to record this little prelude because I messed up a couple times in the video. So I wanted to put this at the beginning of the video because there's a couple questions that I misread. Look, you guys don't come here for great reading skills. I don't know what you guys come here for, but I appreciate it. I appreciate it. If you do like these videos, make sure you give them a thumbs up. But yeah, I wanted to say that there was a couple gaffes in this video, but I did like the opinions expressed, and I think that it was actually a pretty comprehensive view of what I think about what's going on in the political sphere. Second disclaimer I want to put on this is that if you disagree with some of these opinions that are expressed, I mean, you can either accept them for what they are, accept that some people are different, or you can retreat back into your echo chamber. I think that this is a space where people can disagree civilly and have their differences, right? America itself, not that everybody who watches my videos is American, most people are though, it's a melting pot, right? So if you can't accept that other people have different opinions, then, you know, what are we even doing? But anyways, without further ado, hopefully you guys like this recording, and let's get into it. Today we're going through the political compass test. So I haven't actually clicked on this. As you can see, if I had clicked on it before, it would be purple or whatever that is that Google does. Let's do this. I'm actually very curious. All right, I've been reading through Milton Friedman's book recently, and I'm just curious to see what this actually directs me at. This kind of looks like that meme page, or it looks like Microsoft or something. So how long is this test? It's only, looks like there's six questions on this page. But I'm curious to see, they had something about like Maoist, and like there was a bunch of different, you know, political ideologies. I'm curious to see where they put me. So without further ado, let's get into this. If economic globalization is inevitable, I don't think it is. It should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. I don't think it's inevitable. I think that's where we're going, but whatever. We'll go with strongly disagree. I'd always support my country whether it was right or wrong. No. No one chooses their country of birth, so it is foolish to be proud of it. I mean, the first statement is true, but yeah, I'm going to go with disagree. It's not foolish to be proud of your country. I mean, it's foolish to be proud of your country if their values suck, but if your values don't suck, then, and you like your country, then why wouldn't you be proud of it? Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. Should I go with strongly agree? Yeah, all right. The enemy is my friend. The enemy is my friend. Why are they the enemy? I feel like that's just a logical, that's just an illogical statement. And for that reason, I'm going to say the enemy is not your friend. Military action defies international law. That defies international law is sometimes justified. I'm not a big fan of military action in general, whatever. Strongly disagree. There is now a worrying confusion of, and for this one, like, just because other people are doing it doesn't mean that it's justified. I mean, maybe you'll do it to compete, but I wouldn't call it just. Now there is a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. Strongly agree. If you look at any news source, any biased media source, Fox, CNN, we went over this in another video. They're not there to give you the news. They're there to give you something that gets you emotionally attached to their and boost their ratings. That's what they're there to do. There's now worrying fusion of information and entertainment. It's entertainment, but in the sense of it's shock. It's for the shock value. I'm actually going to run a clip right here. If I end up editing this video, I'm going to run a clip right here of CNN's editor, I think it was.
Bad news doesn't do well with ratings, you know, like if you can get someone impassioned, that does really well with ratings. Sad news back to back to back doesn't do really well unless it affects them directly. COVID, gangbusters with ratings, right? Which is why we constantly have a death toll on the side, which I have a major problem with, that we're tallying how many people die every day. Because I've even looked at it and be like, let's make it higher. Like, why isn't it high enough, you know, today? Like, it would make our point better if it was higher. And I'm like, what am I rallying for? That's a problem.
Yeah.
That we're doing that, you know?
Why don't you guys at CNN show the recovery rates on the death tolls at least?
The recovery rates. Who's had it and then recovered. Because that's not scary. I would imagine that's why they don't do it. Yeah.
That's what I figured.
If it bleeds, it leads. Yeah.
If it bleeds, it leads.
Yep.
I like that.
I'm gonna do some research on like the Asian hate, like the people are getting attacked or whatever. A bunch of black men that have been attacking Asian. So I'm like, what are you doing? Like, we're trying to like help like with the BLM. I haven't seen anything about focusing on the color of people's skin that aren't white. They just aren't saying anything. You know what I mean? They're just not. All of a sudden, that story loses a little steam, and they just like leave it be.
Why?
I don't know. I think it's got to be trends of what people will latch onto. You know.
Page 2 of 6. Now the economy. People are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. Yeah, I'll agree. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. I don't think you should control either. I mean, I don't think you should control either one of those things. Because corporations I don't think you should control the money supply either. So I don't really exist on this question. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation. I'll say agree. From each according to his ability to each according to his need is fundamentally a good idea, no. The freer the market, the freer the people. It really depends on your definition of freedom. So, I mean, freedom to, like as in freedom to have a house, if you define that as freedom, then the freer the market, not necessarily the freer the people. But if you define free as freedom from control, freedom from the government, then I would say, yeah, the freer the people. So if we use freedom from the government, I'll say strongly agree. It's sad. It's a sad reflection of our society today that something as basic as drinking water is now bottled, branded consumer product. I'm going to go ahead and say strongly disagree. I just think that's a really anti-capitalistic sentiment, and it doesn't actually have any meaning to it. I think if you look at the natural world and how most organisms survive, it's based on more capitalistic, naturalistic principles, and that's just kind of like kowtowing to people's emotion. Doesn't actually mean anything. So, disagree. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold. I'm going to go ahead and say strongly disagree. You need property rights. Everybody needs property rights, or else you can just take everybody's stuff. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to society. Yeah, let's go with strongly agree. My boy J Pow's printing a lot of money for those who are near the money spout. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. I don't even know what that means. Let's just go with agree. I really don't know what that means. Sorry. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver profit to shareholders. Sure, and then they should be regulated. The rich are too highly taxed. I'm going to go with strongly agree, just because I don't like taxes. I don't think many of the taxes are going to very good places in the first place. So Why not lower them? Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. They already do. If you can afford something, then you can have it. So this is just a weird question. I'm just going to go with disagree. Agree? Whatever. I'll go with agree. But it's already true. If you can afford something, you can have it. I can afford food. I have food. What are they talking about? Okay. Governments should penalize businesses that mislead the public. I'm going to go with strongly agree. That's their job. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. Predator. No. I'm just going to disagree with that. There's really no way to create a monopoly as a company because somebody can buy from somebody else. The only thing that you could potentially make an argument for a monopoly is if there's a very high barrier to entry in your business. But if there's not, then, you can't really make a monopoly because people will buy from the lowest cost producer. Abortion, when a woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. I'm going to say disagree. Somebody just unsubscribed. But I really think that, for me, abortion is not I don't use a rights-based argument. I have more of an idea that, I think that the thing that's wrong with killing a baby is the same reason that it's wrong to kill anyone. So if you kill a baby, or if you were to kill me, for example, I think that it's wrong because you're causing me pain. But let's say if you're killing a baby, let's say that there's some time in the baby's life that you're not causing the baby any pain. The baby's not sentient. I wouldn't say that that's the same thing as killing me. But the question is, where do you draw that line? So I'm only slightly disagree on that. All authority should be questioned. I'll go with agree. Whatever. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Strongly disagree. That's stupid. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. Yeah, I'm going to go with I'll go with disagree. I like the idea of maintaining history, whatever. I think that history is important, that you remember history. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. I'm going to go with agree. Sometimes school is just stupid, in my opinion. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us, that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. That is very racist. I'm going to go with disagree on that. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. I'm going to go with strongly disagree. It is natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. It is natural. Sure. Whether it's good or bad, that's a different story. But possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. No, do you? I don't care. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. I'm going to go with disagree. But I don't think that I'm just not a big fan of jobs, I guess. I don't think that that's the only reason. Let's say the prime function should be. But the thing is, these schools were put into place to kind of make employees for big corporations, which is not the worst thing in the world, but it just is what it is. I think that should be their prime function, but you should also teach some financial literacy and some entrepreneurship in there. That's what I'll say. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. That is no. The most important thing for children is to learn to accept discipline. The most important thing. I'm going to disagree with that. Everybody's different. There are no savage and civilized peoples. There are only different cultures. Slight disagree. There's certain cultures that don't lead to very many good outcomes. So, whether that's good or bad, savage, I wouldn't call it savage. I guess that means I agree. They're different cultures, but just because it's a different culture doesn't mean it's like better or worse. It's just going to lead you to a different outcome. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. Yeah, strongly agree. When you are troubled, it is better to not think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. No, strongly disagree. Think about it. Make it better. First generation immigrants can never fully be integrated within their new country. Strongly disagree. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us. Strongly disagree. All right. And if you look at like certain tax treatment, like if you look at the actual tax treatment of some of the largest corporations, whenever they raise taxes, they don't actually end up paying them. So that's one that if you answer like strongly agree to that, you're kind of lying. I mean, what's best for business is typically best for everybody, but what's best for the largest corporations, you can get some really sneaky ways into the law to help your corporation specifically. So yeah, anyway, no broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. Sure, I'm going to go with strongly agree on that. I don't think CNN should be getting like a grant from the government or something, or Fox or whoever. And how you see the wider society. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. I don't think so. Somebody correct me if they are. I don't think so. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all arguments that delay the process of the democratic political system. I mean, that is an advantage, but there's also significant disadvantages. I'll go with agree, but not that I agree with that system. Although the election agree age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need to be worried. Electronic age. No. I'll strongly disagree with that. The electronic age makes surveillance easier. Only wrongdoers need to be worried. Well, the problem is, what do you consider to be a wrongdoer? Who makes that determination? Everybody should be worried about that. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious of crimes. Nah, I don't think it's just lock them up for life. Put them away from the rest of society. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. I mean, that's kind of not really sure. I think there needs to be some type of central authority. That's just what I think. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all. This has nothing to do with politics. I'm just going to go with disagree, though. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. Criminal justice punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. It really depends on like how you see criminals. Like, can they change or can they not change? And I think that some people can change and some people can't change. Like certain pedophilia, like they're not going to change. You just lock them up. Because that's the type of society that we want collectively. Rehabilitation. I'm just going to go with this. I don't know. If I could go neutral on that one, I would. I don't think either one's more important. It is a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals. Yeah, some of them. That's the key word there, some. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. I'm going to go with agree. Let's say you drop like 100 business people in the middle of a poor nation versus like you dropped 100 artists in the middle of a poor nation. Which one do you think would help them prosper more? Probably the business people, but that's just my opinion. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be housemakers. Their first duty is to do whatever they want to do. Whatever. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries. Why couldn't I read that? I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think that a lot of very poor countries do much better when plant genetic resources. That's weird. What are they talking about? I don't think that, like, if you put multinational companies into smaller developing economies, typically those economies do much better. You see that a lot of people want to apply for those jobs. Those tend to be the best jobs in the area. So if they're going with that, I'm not sure exactly what they mean, but I don't think that they're necessarily exploiting them. If you really look at like what options people have in those areas, if someone comes in and expands the amount of options that you have, I don't think that you're being exploited. I think that your options are being expanded, and that's just how I see it. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. I think that not making peace with the establishment is a waste of your time as a person, because right now, as I look out there, the establishment is not that bad. Like, it's not as bad as it was in the 60s, 70s. So I think that going out doing all these like protests and stuff like that is kind of a waste of your time. Like, for example, if I would have been protesting and organizing for the past, I don't know, 3 years that I've been doing what I'm doing, I've gotten to from the point where I was down negative $90K to now I'm at about to cross over $160,000, homeowner, possibly going to buy another home next year. If I would have spent these past 4 years protesting, I would have lost a lot of time. So making peace with the establishment is important. I mean, I don't think you need to make peace with it. I'm going to disagree, but I think that protesting is kind of a waste of time when the issues at hand aren't that important. Okay, if you got through that, okay, you'll find these propositions on religion a breeze. Oh, geez. Astrology accurately explains many things. I don't want to offend any astrologists out there. I'm gonna go ahead and say disagree, and let's just call it my own ignorance. You cannot be moral without being religious. I think you can have a sense of morality without being religious. You just make up your own morals. Maybe they're the wrong morals. Maybe they're not good morals, but you can be moral. Charity, let's strongly disagree. I don't think you necessarily, like, just because you are religious or aren't religious doesn't make you a good or bad person. Charity is better than Social Security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. I think that we should incentivize charity more, sure. Some people are naturally unlucky. I don't really believe in luck. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. I think it's important to teach the religion, but I don't think it's important to tell them this is your religion. Finally, a look at sex. Sex outside the marriage is usually immoral. Well, I mean, it's a lie, and lying is immoral, so let's say it's usually a lie, so it's usually immoral. If it's not a lie, then I wouldn't call it immoral. Some people are into that freaky stuff. A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of a child adoption. I'll say strongly agree. I don't really think that very many people on either side of the political spectrum disagree with that you should be able to. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's already how it is, but okay. Pornographic depicting consenting adults should be legal for adult population. Sure, do your thing. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. Strongly agree. No one can feel naturally homosexual. I know a lot of people that feel naturally homosexual. They come up and tap you on the shoulder at the bar and ask if you're feeling naturally homosexual. Anyways, these days, openness about sex has gone too far. Sometimes. I mean, don't make people uncomfortable. That's what I'll say. You don't got to make people uncomfortable. But also, I would say disagree. Like, I don't care. personally, but sometimes the media just makes people uncomfortable. It's just too much for people to handle, but you don't have to look. So if I could go neutral on that one, I would. Yeah, all right. I guess this is about what I expected. Socially, slightly right of center. Politically, very libertarian. That's pretty much what I expected. I mean, that's what you guys have come to expect from me. Slightly right of center. I mean, is that slightly right of center? I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, hopefully you guys like this video. Let me know what you guys think down there. Maybe I'll do more on this later. Looks like I'm slightly right of center and more libertarian than authoritarian. So anyways, I guess that's me. Slightly right of center, very libertarian. And I just think that people should be free to make their own choices, I guess. But anyways, I know the abortion one is very divisive. I kind of stay away from that issue. But yeah, anyways, I personally on that issue, I just think that the government shouldn't pay for it. That's pretty much it. I don't think that people should be on the hook for paying for that. But yeah, time to get canceled in the comments, I guess. And I'll see you guys in the next video.